All right. So we are going to be looking at accounts payable. So this whole section right here is going to be how we actually utilize the accounts payable when we enter in a bill. So as I've mentioned many times before, QuickBooks will actually do the work behind the scenes. So every time we enter in a bill, right, it's going to associate that we owe this person money and that we're not going to pay it them yet. So therefore, it's going to increase the accounts payable behind the scenes. Now, of course, a few things that I want to show you first is that this book tells you that there's a bill tracker. A bill tracker is going to be on your home on your icon bar. And if I click on that bill tracker, basically what it shows me is that it shows me pretty much all the bills that I owe, and it shows me all of the like who I owe, how much I owe, how much is overdue, and basically it gives you a summary of all of your accounts payable transactions. Now, of course, this is definitely something I think that you guys should know kind of before we dive into the rest of the chapter, just because the bill tracker is actually going to be in 2018 at least. It is actually a new feature that was incorporated in the 2018's version of QuickBooks. So this is definitely very useful because it allows you to keep track of your bills. Once again, it shows you when the bill is due and shows us which ones that are overdue. Okay, so that's really cool about this. So instead of having to use your your vendor center to see the account balances and have to open up each and individual bills that you've written out or accumulated, you have it all here in one place. And right now I have an outstanding bill for $142, okay, and it is to Mr. Wong and Son. Okay, now also one thing that you can do here is you are able to also manage your transactions, right? So this is going to be one of the hidden ones that we're going to take a look at. So you can write a check here too, okay? But for most cases, you are going to be able to enter in a bill this way as well. So that's one way that you can enter in a bill, all right? And this one's very useful, and I think especially when we are trying to keep track of our bills, right? This is the best way to do it, to see which ones are due, which ones that are due soon, and which ones that are the amounts that you have overall that is outstanding, okay? But of course, when we're looking at the bills section here, right, to enter in a bill is pretty straightforward. You have the enter bills icon right here on the home page, okay? Not only do you have that way, you also have, if you go all the way at the top of your menu bar, if you go to vendors, you should see enter in a bill, okay? And bill trackers up here as well. So there you go, enter in bills, okay? So that's 3 ways you can enter a bill, either through the bill tracker, the home page, or through the menu bar, okay? But don't forget, you can also enter in the bill using the vendor center, right? I can go at the top of the window, enter in a bill through the new transactions, enter bill, okay? I could also enter in a bill by, let's say, a specific person. So let's say I'm going to enter a bill for Ace Supply, right? I can right-click them, and I'd be able to enter in a bill right here, enter bill, okay? And of course, if I'm just on their profile as is, right, I can manage their transactions and also enter in a bill. In this case, it's just called bills, okay? So that right there, there's 3 ways inside the vendor center. Then there's 3 ways outside the vendor center, right? You have the home page, the menu bar, and again, we have our new and key feature, which is the bill tracker. So that is a total of 6 ways that you can enter in a bill. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at what that entered bill window shows. So it populates this little bill, right? Pretty straightforward. This is a form, and you basically are just going to be entering information, just typing things in here, okay? So in this case, because I was on Ace Supply, it automatically filled in the information for me. Because remember what I've discussed with you guys, right? If you are using the Manage Transaction window, right? I'm going to click No. If you are in the Manage Transactions, right? If you click on their name and you use the Manage Transaction, you're associating that this bill is coming from them. Now, of course, it's not locked in because it's in green, right? It's telling you, is this the person that you are going to create a bill for? And vice versa, okay? So in this case, when we're going to be entering in a bill, it actually, we want to make sure that we're looking at, once again, we are using a supply, okay? So once again, we're just going to, ensure that that's the way that we're going to be entering the bill. So any way that you want to enter in the bill, whether it's the home page, the menu bar, right? The icon bar takes you to the vendor center or the bill tracker, okay? And then you can do new transactions, right click on that vendor, or you can actually do manage transactions. So once again, so I close out that window, okay, when I'm actually supposed to be entering in a bill for, in fact, Mr. Ace Supply. Okay, the date's going to be the 8th. So now that I've let QuickBooks know that I'm working on this date, it should start picking up this date automatically. So there it is. It is February 8th of 2019. Okay, and then let's see what else we have here. So you have a reference number. Okay, every bill that you receive will have some kind of billing information or billing number. That's the number you're going to be typing in here. So once again, if you are looking at receiving a bill, you need to make sure that you're copying all the information from that bill and you're copying it into the QuickBooks. So anything such as the bill number is definitely important. So in this case, my billing information or my bill number here, which is going to be bill number 20, I think that says 85, okay? All right, once again, you can type the amount if you'd like, but you can also fill out the window down here and it would do just the same for you. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that. Now, because I actually entered in a supply. So if you remember yesterday, right, when we entered in the information, we entered in the vendor's name, the address, right? We set the terms, and look, because we did that, right, by simply verifying that this is the vendor that I'm using, it pulls all of the information and fills it into the form for you. So that is the really good thing about QuickBooks, is that it allows you to save a lot more time. Hence, now do you understand why it's called QuickBooks? Okay, it allows you to enter your transactions a lot more quicker now. Now, of course, this comes into, obviously, when we took a look in chapter 12, 7, and 4, right? You have to be entering all of this information for you to be able to produce the forms a lot quicker. You know, you need to enter in all that information ahead of time before you can go ahead and be able to do everything a lot quicker. But in this case, I already had Ace Supply in my books, and here it is. It gave me the address information, and it also gave me terms that I can receive 2% discount if I pay within 10 days. Okay. Now, the next thing I have here is that I am going to be entering photo materials. Okay. Photo materials. Okay, so right here, right, it's telling me that I'm buying office supplies. In this case, no, I'm actually, I believe this is going to be a cost of goods sold. Okay, let me see. Yes, it's a cost of goods sold, because in this case, this is where I'm going to give you the example where I'm actually buying these photo materials for a particular person. So the amount for this one is going to be for the total of $360. So $360. So once again, I type that in there. You could type in like that, and it would automatically fill in the information right here. So once again, what is this memo for? I'm buying photo materials for Jerry Perez. Okay. And then, of course, if I'm going to assign it to a specific person, right? Saying that I'm buying these photo materials specifically for Jerry Perez. This is where I'm going to go ahead and link this expense to Jerry Perez. So here he is a customer that does exist in my books. Okay. And we'll talk about this little window here where it says billable. This will come into play in chapter 9. It will make a lot more sense. When you tack on or assign a customer to this particular job, right? What you're going to do is you're basically going to pass the bill on to Mr. Jerry Perez and expect him to pay for this bill instead of you. But in this case, we're just entering in a bill, so we'll talk about that later. And once again, for the class here, I believe it is Walnut Creek. Okay. So everything looks good, right? You can and double, if you wrote here, you can use the feature to any computer function. So I can actually do Control C, and I can actually paste it here by doing Control V, right? Those are basic computer functions for all desktops. So it's a universal feature. So that's definitely you can do. You can save some extra time by copying and pasting your text and pasting them into your certain windows. So now that we have this, and that's the bill, we're going to go ahead and click Save and Close. Okay. So once again, now that I've entered in a bill, right, for a supply, if I go ahead and check my bill tracker, right, I can check it up here by going to, the bill tracker. Sorry. Where is the bill tracker? Bill tracker Excel. Okay, so if I go to vendors and go to my bill tracker here, right, you're going to automatically see that by me entering in that bill, right, now it becomes an accounts payable. That means it shows me that now I have, instead of outstanding 142, I am now outstanding 502. So once again, the bill tracker is going to be very, very useful, right? Very, very useful, especially when you're taking a look at your overall accounts payable. How much do you owe everybody, and you could see all the bills as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close that real quick. And of course, now let's take a look at my vendor center, right? When I click on a supply, I don't even see where I entered in that bill, okay? So this is where I was talking about this crucial information right here. You need to toggle these little things right here. Notice this, the date says this fiscal year. We're in the year 2021. So of course, I retroactively placed that bill in right as of 2019. So I do need to toggle this. Now, of course, best one to do is click all, and then look. Now it shows me even more transactions that appear that I have had with Ace Supply. So the bill that I just entered in just a second ago isn't the only bill I have with Ace Supply. If I click that all transactions, boom, now it shows me that I actually have a lot more. Okay. So as you can see, I have a check written out to him, a bill written out to him, and also have a bill payment written out to this person. Okay. So once again, there it is. Now, if you need to modify that bill for any reason, right, the best way to do it is you could double click on the bill and it will pop up that window and you can modify it as much as you'd like. So that's also one of the things that you should know too, is that in case you made an accident or something like that, you're able to pull up the information by double clicking on the actual bill in the actual transaction. So if you need to see that bill, right? If I want to see a past bill, I can, but in case I made a typo here, then I just double click it and the bill should pop up. Okay. Any questions there on how to enter in a bill? It's pretty straightforward. Okay. All right. Now, you can also run some other reports that do exist here. So I'm going to show you just a little side note here that I could go ahead and click my reports and I'd be able to go to vendors and payables, and I could actually check out my vendor balances, or I can check out my unpaid bills. So if I do that, it shows me right here, right, that I have 2 bills currently outstanding, one for Ace Supply and I have one for Wong and Son. Okay, so that's what's really cool about this too, is that you can run your reports and see what vendors that you owe and what, how much you owe and etc. So instead of using the bill tracker, right, because your bill tracker only shows you what it is, right? It allows you to make your payments there, but here this is actually a report looking form. So in case you need to print this out and send it to your accounts payable or your person who's going to validate the checks for you, say, hey, I need to have permission to pay off these bills. Can you let me have permission? Etc., etc. So here this allows you to build a professional looking type of form that you can print out, send, email, whatever, right? Instead of screen it for the bill tracker, you can't print the bill tracker. Okay, the only one that you can do is you're generally going to be anything that's in some form of a report. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that just real quick. Okay, now let's talk about how we actually pay the bills. Okay, so I'm going to tell you this because this is the difference between 2018 and 2019. 2018, you must use the pay bills function in order for you to pay off your bill. If you do not do that, QuickBooks is not going to associate that the payment is anywhere, related to the bill that you just paid off. It's just going to assume, okay, we received money. Boom. So therefore, your account balances will become uneven because your accounts payable, it just seems like you've never paid off your bill. So that's why it's very important that if we enter in a bill, you must follow that graphic depiction on your homepage, right? So what happens? Oh, I closed my homepage once again. What happens when you enter a bill? You must pay your bill. Okay? Important that you know that. Now, that's only QuickBooks 2018. Of course, QuickBooks 2019 is that if you decide to write a check and you entered it in for that amount with that person that you're writing a check out to, it's going to automatically say, whoa, you have a bill. Are you trying to pay off this bill? Then you select the bill and say yes. So in this case, 2019 and beyond that, QuickBooks becomes a little more smarter and can recognize that you're trying to make a payment to a bill. But in this case, 2018, you cannot use that function. Okay, you have to use the pay bills function. Okay. Now, of course, if you're going to use the pay bills function, right, you have 7 ways to pay a bill. Okay, you can do it on the bill tracker, right? We've talked about the bill tracker, right? Bill tracker. You can, let me see if it, for this case, when you are in the bill tracker, you have to actually right click on the bill and pay it. One way. Okay. Of course, the first one that you should always recognize is going to be on your home page, right here on the pay bills function. Okay. Once again, you can also do that on the vendors menu, right? You can pay bills here, right? Pay bills. Okay. So that's already 3 ways. Now you can also do that once again in your vendor center, right? You could go to new transactions, pay bills. Okay. You can even right click on that person, right? And pay the bill. Okay, pay bills. Okay. And of course, if you're on that person's profile, you can also go down to manage transactions and you could do a bill payment. Okay. So that was 6 ways. The last way is very important that you need to know. If you open up your bill, at the very top of the window, you can pay your bill as well. Okay, so I just showed you all 7 ways while your book only shows you 2. Okay. All right. Any questions on how to pay a bill? Because you could be asked every single way on the QuickBooks exam. Okay. So since I'm already here, well, actually, no, I can't show you that way. That way you won't be able to see it. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and exit out of everything and then I'm going to go ahead and do it through the home page. So we're going to go ahead and click bills, pay bills. Now you're going to get this window here. It's going to pull up all of your bills that you have so far. So just like your bill tracker, right? It shows up a list of all the bills that you owe. You can build, criterias. So you can actually see which bills that you want to look for. So if I do date on or date before, I can toggle this, right? So right now I said, I clicked on the date on or before. It only shows me 1, right? But if I were to toggle this and say maybe the 28th, or wait, so what was it due on? You might be able to find it that way, okay? So I believe they want you to do it on the 15th. So 15 of February. All right. Well, I still only show that I only have 1 bill. Okay, let's do on the 10. No, I only show 1 bill, so let me do all bills. Okay, so here, why do I have it as due on this day? Okay, well, okay, because because it's net 30. I got it now. Okay, so here we have 2 bills that we're gonna pay, and we're gonna attempt to pay them right now. So in this case, I'm going to show you how you can use the pay bills function to go ahead and make your payment. So once again, let's take a look at Ace Supply. Since I'm given that idea where it's 2% discount if I pay within 10 days, if not, the whole bill is due in 30. So in this case, it shows me that my bill is due on March 10, which is correct, right? That's 30 days from now. However, right, if I click on the bill, you're going to notice a few things here. So let's actually scan through this. Now it says that we actually have terms, right? 2%, 10, net 30, right? And that I should actually have a suggested discount for the $7.20. So in this case, because I'm making the payment on the 10th of February, right? It's something that you need to know. We're going to make the payment on the 10th of February. So in this case, I should actually receive my discount. So by setting it, I'm going to click on set my discount. And then it's going to give me the options up here. Okay? It's going to tell me, well, this is what you're doing, right? This is the discount, right? And then now I need to associate which account that it's linked to. So in this case, this is going to be a purchase discount. Okay. And then, of course, it says discount class. So I believe this is, let's see. purchase discount. All right, can someone look it up in the book? Is it for Walnut Creek or is it for San Jose location? I think it's for the Walnut Creek.
Yep, Walnut Creek.
Perfect. Okay, Walnut Creek location. So once again, I am now associating my expense, right? Because I made a purchase, right? So in this case, I'm associating it to a specific location. So in this case, Jerry Perez, he belongs to my Walnut Creek location. Okay. Once I've actually looked at this and verified that 2%, right? You can do the math if you like, but again, QuickBooks does it for you. You shouldn't have to do any math. So therefore, I'm going to click OK and done. Now notice this. My discount has been applied. And now the moment that I look, the thing I'm looking at is that means my bill is now $352.50. Now that's just only for my ACE supply. If I decide to also pay for Mr. Wong and Son, right, because the bill is due on the 10th, right? So I don't know if they gave me a discount or not. But in this case, I'm going to pay that bill as well. So notice this. So when I actually make my bill payment, it's going, my bill for the ACE supply should also reflect my discount. So once again, I've already applied my discount, okay? It shows up right here, right? It's saying that my total amount that I owe is $502, but I apply a discount for $7.20. So therefore, I'm going to be writing two separate checks for the total of $494. Okay? So once again, we're now that we looked at this section here, we applied our discounts, we're paying off all of our bills. So now we got to make sure that we have to have this bottom part filled out. You can even check out the bill if you wanted to. So if I wanted to check to see if I had a discount on that bill, I can click on it and click on Go to Bill. And notice this. Let's see. No, I don't get any discount when it comes to Wong and Son. They don't give me any discount. They just said the bill is just due in 30 days. Okay, so then I can go ahead and close that out. All right, so then we have payment method or payment date. So once again, we are going to make sure that we make this payment on the 10th of February. Okay? And then other things that we're going to make sure is that what kind of method are we paying with? We're definitely paying with a check. We're not going to pay with a credit card. Okay? And here's the one that I need you to make sure you select. To be printed, right? So once again, if I'm writing a bunch of checks and I'm, paying off a lot of my bills, if I choose to be printed, it's going to send all the checks in a batch and it's going to hold them off until I print them out, right? If you select to assign the check numbers now, that means it's going to send it to the printer, it's going to print right away, and it's going to assign the number right then and there. So the key thing that you need to know here is that if you do not know or do want to actually wait till the very end to assign your check numbers, then you definitely want to do print later option. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to show you how to print the checks right after this. So boom, I'm going to make sure I select that to be printed. And once again, make sure it is directly coming out from your checking account. Once all that is all good, I'm going to go ahead and click Pay Scheduled Bills. All right, and you should get 2 beep of approvals because you paid not only one, you paid 2 bills off. Okay, and then here you go. You're going to get this window saying, well, what would you like to do now? Would you like to pay more bills or would you like to print the checks? Okay, now in this case, that's just one option on where you can actually print the checks. But I'm going to show you, just in case you end up clicking pay more bills, then I'm going to show you how you're able to print out those checks after that. So in this case, I'm going to say I am done, right? And there you're at the home page. Now again, in order to go ahead and reprint those checks, right, or actually visit that window once more, if you go down onto your home page under the banking section, you have print checks right here. Okay, straightforward. Okay. Second option is going to be your file on the menu button. So just pretty much like most programs, right? When you print something, it's file print. In this case, it's going to be file, okay, print forms, and then you're going to get another drop-down menu saying, well, what do you want to print out? And in this case, we want to print out our checks. So then you can print out invoices, you can print out credit memos, labels, you can even print out your paychecks, etc., pay stubs, and so on and so forth. But in this case, I'm just simply wanting to print out my checks. So once I do that, we're going to get this window here. That means, if you guys remember from my transaction before, right? We wrote a check out to Orlando Properties. Boom, it's right there. We just wrote out a check to Ace Supply. And last but not least, we also wrote a check to Wong and Son. Okay?
So, excuse me, if you're not ready to print them right away, you can just wait and do it, keep them pending?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, the one thing about that you have to also be aware of, once again, is that if you keep it pending, that means, it's still going to be in your QuickBooks. That means you've never written out your check. So therefore, if you go over the due date, right, your vendor can be subject to charge you any additional fees, late fees, because you just forgot to print out your checks in the printer. But so that's like one thing too.
Yeah, and I just wanted to understand that if it's not due, but you want to have them in there, just be ready to get them out the date that you have on your calendar to take them out, then you can just print all of them and then send them out.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So every time we write a check or we issue a bill payment, right, it's going to automatically have all the information, the vendor's information, the address, and what you're going to do is you're going to send it to the printer, right? But in this case, there's one thing that we need to do before we actually print these checks out. So in this case, we need to assign a check number, okay? In this case, we want to keep, we want to make a difference between the checks that we write through QuickBooks and the checks that we have as a manual checkbook, right? Our manual checkbook starts with 300, right? As we've seen before, right? We wrote a manual check and we entered it in using the number 300. In this case, this is the checks that I'm running out specifically using the Intuit or the QuickBooks program. So therefore, I'm going to assign it as 6001. All right. And once it if you assign it this way, it's going to print it collated, meaning the checks that you see in this order is going to be assigned a check number. So start with check that 6001. Then the one for Ace Supply is going to be 6002. Then the Wong and Son is going to be 6003. All right. It's going to print it in the sequence order. Okay. So once we go ahead and so here we don't actually have to print them all out. So if, like Elena was saying, right, if I wanted to, I could say, you know what, I'm not going to print out Wong and Son or Ace Supplies yet. I'm just only going to print out this one particular check. While I'm going to hold on to the other two until the day that it's due, I'll print them out. So yes, you can select as many checks that you want to actually print out. In this case, I'm going to show you, I'm just going to print them all. Okay? So yes, you can leave them in here as an option for until the day comes. And then whenever you print it, you print it. Okay? So once I do that, I can go ahead and click OK. Now, the next window is going to be important. Okay? Once you click OK, now it's going to talk about what kind of settings you need to have. So once again, I will print it out, but obviously not, I'm not going to print it as, using my actual roll printer. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you set up your printer. Okay, so in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and just keep it as Microsoft because I'm just going to print it as a copy, not anything else. So that's staying here too. Now the rule here is that if you purchase the checks from Intuit, or you went to the bank and actually got the actual legitimate paper that you can print on, there are some rules and some regulations that you have to be specific with your printer. Most cases, you can use regular ink. I've heard that you have to also maybe purchase a specific ink to print on the checks. It's like this. It's like the one that you can't like use a magic eraser, I guess, to get to change it for any reason. So you may have to order some kind of special ink to print these out, because again, these are actual legit money that you're printing out, essentially, right? If you have the capabilities and the and you're not going through your bank or through Intuit, then you may have to go through those regulations. And of course, you definitely don't want to waste that paper because it's probably super, super expensive. So you have to make sure that you know the ins and outs of your printer. Because if you enter in the printer and you enter the page in the wrong way, it's going to print out and you're going to mess up and et cetera, et cetera. You have to reprint the checks then again. So once again, here it is, right? Set up your printer. Make sure that you have the actual paper there. Other things that you're going to take a look at is there are 3 types of ways that you can print out your checks. You can either do voucher style, staggered, or standard, or you can choose wallet size. Now, voucher style, okay, is this one's more for like your paychecks because it allows you to print your pay stub and then the check is right underneath it. So this kind of paper is like a regular piece of paper, but at the very bottom it's a perforated line for you to tear out your check. This one is more widely used for paychecks, once again, because you could print the pay stub information at the top and then have the check right underneath it. But for the standard is pretty much like you're just stacking the bills on top. They have perforated lines, so as you can see here in this little window, you can print up to 3 checks, and they're the long lengthy checks. Or you could do wallet style, right? If you ever gone the size of your actual checkbook, right? It's pretty tiny. It's smaller than a dollar bill. It will be like that. That's wallet size, is to print the small check exactly like that, okay? So in this case, because I'm just printing out checks just to issue out to my vendors, I'm going to go ahead and use standard style because I'm just going to, send them a check and then make sure it's in an enclosed envelope that you can't see through. So, so I'm going to go ahead and use this one and just cut the checks that way, right? And then, of course, the most important thing you got to do is that if you print these out, okay, if you print these out, you're going to have someone physically sign it, which is either the boss or the person, the accountant, can actually sign it off, okay? Now, yes, you can. If, like most cases, a lot of companies do this. They decide to just use a copy of their signature, or so then the boss doesn't have to always be there to sign the checks. They just give the authorization through the accountant or whoever's writing these checks out. They give the authorization, say, hey, I authorize for you to use my signature. So in order to do that, once you get that authorization, you're going to go ahead and locate a file. Now, in this case, see this little window here? You're actually supposed to be able to just, use your mouse to write it in here, but it doesn't do that for this one. It's because you would actually have to use that little keypad that has the actual legitimate pen on it for you to go ahead and put the actual signature on here. But most cases, they already have a like a little picture. So I'm going to go ahead and click that file. Now, once again, this is also in your company, your student portable files. So if I go ahead and locate that, right, I'm in my pictures right now and I don't have anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to locate my documents to find my portable files. So portable files, okay, here. And then here I have logo or signature. You definitely want to do the SIG. Okay, I'm going to double click it, then it's going to give me this message. You're going to go ahead and click OK, and there it is. Okay, the owner of this company, his name is Vern Black. So there's his signature. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So when I print out my checks, it's going to print out everything, and it's going to have the signature. So that means it's ready to send out. Okay, now if you forget to add the signature part, then you're going to have to catch your boss so then the boss can actually physically sign the checks itself. Okay. All right. And then we're going to, once everything looks good, it says right here, you want to use a company logo, print, you know, how many that you want to put on one page, print the signature image. Yes, I do want that. Okay. Everything looks good. Then I'm going to go ahead and click that print button. So for me, I'm actually making a copy of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and save it into your files. So let me see, where was I? So documents, LVPTA accounting QuickBooks class. And we're going to go to portable files and your class. I'm going to go ahead and just say this is bill payments, okay? And I'm just going to click save. So I just saved basically a digital copy of the checks. All right, because that's what I set my printer to. So once again, you're going to get this window saying, well, there you go. You printed out the checks, and then I'm going to click OK. So let's go ahead and take a look at our check register real quick. And notice the difference between these payments I've made, right? So here I have check numbers, okay? Because I wrote a physical check, or I used the Intuit program to write a physical check. Now notice this, the difference between a regular check and this one is that I made an actual bill payment. So as I mentioned before, for 2018, it will not recognize that you're trying to pay something off if you use the write a checks function window, okay? In order to pay a bill off, you must use the pay bills function key, all right? All right, so as you can see, right, in my checking account, it tells me that I actually paid a bill off. So therefore, when I run my report, my accounts payable account should be 0 at this point, right? Even if I go to my bill tracker, right? I'm going to pull it up and boom, I owe nothing. I owe nothing. Okay? All right. So any questions in how to make a bill payment? There are 7 ways to enter in a bill payment. All right. And essentially, at the end of the day, when you do that, your check register should reflect that you made a payment to a bill. Okay. Any questions? No? Okay, so exactly, no questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dan. Okay, so once again, right, if you can write a check, you can void a check as well. Okay, so again, if you were to go into your check register, you can just simply right click it and you can void the check or bill at any given time. Okay, the way that the book tells you to do it is that you click on this, either you click on this and go to edit, or you can actually physically go ahead and click on the check that you wrote and go to edit, and you can void the check there. Okay, so if I were to do that, right, I'm going to show you the simple and easy way. So instead of doing it that way, if I were to go ahead and right click on this and I decide to void the bill, check, or payment, right, it's going to show me that right here, it's going to say that it's been voided and it's going to revert my bill to 0. So again, one thing that you want to do is you never want to delete your checks. If you accidentally wrote it for the wrong amount, never delete it, okay? Because it will have holes in your discrepancy, especially when you're looking through this, right? If you have check number 6001, 6002, and then all of a sudden you jump forward to 6004, your automatic assumption is what happened to check number 6003? Well, many things can happen, right? You didn't pay it, you stole it, right? There's a lot of things that can happen when it comes into business, and usually the first thing is that someone's frauding the company. All right, so make sure that when you are doing your transactions and you end up writing a check that isn't good, the general rule of thumb is you want to keep that number there because you can never assign a check number once it's been used. So that means since I voided this check, I can never use check number 6003. Even if I delete it and do it again. No, because then QuickBooks, right? Just because you delete something on it, it's just like a computer, right? You can technically restore it. All right? If there's a lot of technical things that you have to do in order to restore it. But in this case, it's going to know that QuickBooks is going to automatically associate that you're trying to, do something with that check. Okay, yes. Okay, there you go. Now I saved it. Now, once again, if I click that Write Checks window, it's going to automatically say that, if I'm going to choose to sign the account number now, it's going to automatically say that I am trying to do check number 6,000. Oh, not pay online. 6,000. Okay, well, in this case, it's 332. But usually it should automatically find some kind of sequence number and it's going to automatically pull in 6004. Now let's say you do try to type in the 6003 there. It will not let you do it. It will say that this check has already been written out. You need to assign a different number. Okay. So once again, in my check register, once you've done that, that means, the bill has been reverted. So let's take a look at my bill tracker real quick. It's going to still show me that I owe Wong and Son for the $142. Okay? Because what essentially I did is, since I voided the check, basically I reverted the bill payment and now I've repopulated my accounts payable. Okay? So rule of thumb here is never, ever, ever, whatever you do. Now, of course, if you already printed it out, you're just going to have to tear it up because you voided it. Okay? So any questions there? Okay. All right. There are 2 more sections I want to show you, the guys, that are very, very important, and let's deal with it one at a time. So first thing is that we're going to take a look at is allowing to be able to give vendors credits. Okay? So we talked about paying bills, okay? So once again, as a vendor, right, and a customer relationship, right, if you can purchase items from a vendor, that means you can also return items as well, or get what's called a vendor credit. So for us in accounting, we learn that as a returns and allowances. In QuickBooks, it's called a credit, okay? So in QuickBooks, we can have a vendor credit. Now let's go ahead and do the first things first is, well, let's make the bill first. So in this case, here's the bill, and it is going to be for the Nellis Distributing, okay? And what we did here was, this should be on, I think this was the, let's see. So we're going to enter in the bill first. Okay, so when we enter in the bill, let's see, we're going to enter for Nellis on the 17th of February. 17th of February. 17th of February. Okay, our reference number should be 65432. Okay, and again, you don't need to enter in the number unless you want to, because if you enter in any information down below, it's just going to pull it up at the very top, and you can add as many items here and it will automatically add it up for you. So once again, here we decided that we actually purchased custom framing materials for Mr. Bob Mason. Okay, and let's go ahead and write that in here. So again, custom framing materials. Okay, same thing here, right? And this is going to be a cost of goods sold, because here's the one thing that we did. We sold it to our vendor. Okay, we sold it to a particular customer, right? We made a purchase for a specific person. So in this case, we're going to enter in the custom framing for the total of $300. Okay, memo here. Go ahead. Memo, custom framing materials for Bob Mason. So once again, because we've made a purchase for a particular customer, we're going to assign it to Bob Mason. Okay, Mason Bob. Okay, and once again, this is going to be linked to an income, right? Or in case this is an expense because we sold to a particular customer, this expense is going to be for the San Jose location. Okay, so this is a bill that I received for making the purchases of the custom framing. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Close. Okay, now the next thing I got to do is, now because I received a vendor credit, I now want to apply it to my bill. But in order to do that, I need to enter in the credit in the first place, so I have that credit available. So in this case, the way that we do it is, if you go through any way that you enter in a bill, you have the option at the very top of the window to either enter a bill or enter in a credit. Okay, so any way that you can enter in a bill is the exact way that you can enter in a credit. So the home page, the menu bar, right? Any way that you get into the vendor center, or even the bill tracker, right? So then if you're in the vendor center, right, you could do new transactions, or actually right click on a particular vendor, or do manage transactions. So there you go. Those are all the ways that you can enter in a bill. So therefore, those are all the same exact ways that you can enter in a credit, because the bill and the credit are one. Okay? So here, just by swapping between the bill and the credit, you could tell, right? It says credit at the very top. Now then, what are you going to get a credit for? Same thing, from the same company, right? It's going to be from this particular company. Okay. And then, of course, a great way to keep track of your credits, right, is to either assign a letter after the bill number, so you know what the number is. Okay, so I entered in the wrong bill number, but that's okay. We'll just use it. So in this case, I typed in 65432, and I'm gonna add a letter C, right? So then I know that this bill or this credit is linked directly to my actual bill. Okay. And in this case, once again, this is a discount. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this little window here. So it says cost of goods sold, right? No, it's actually going to be for the discounts. discount. So is it a sales discount or a purchase discount? In this case, we are making sure that this is a purchase discount because, right, we purchased it from the vendor. Okay, so they're giving us the purchase discount, and the amount is for $25. Okay, and once again, everything looks good. All right. And then again, you can make links or associations to this if you would like. But in this case, it's actually not really relevant. But I'm going to go ahead and just make everything look consistent. So I will go ahead and, enter in that this is for the San Jose. Okay, class, San Jose. Okay. For the particular person, no, because again, this is particular to me, right? I'm the one that bought the equipment or the stuff for Bob Mason. Okay, so you could put discount on custom framing, whatever you'd like here, but in this case, that should be good enough information. And I'm gonna go ahead and save and close. Once I get that beep of approval, now let's go ahead and go into our bill payment, right? I'm going to go ahead and pay my bill. Now, once I do that, I'm going to see that I have two bills, right? But once again, we're going to ignore Mr. Wong, and we're going to go ahead and click on Nellis. Okay? Now, notice this. Let's take a look at my bottom thing here. I have my discounts right here. I have my credits down here. So in this case, I have a credit for this, right? Because I created the credit. And what you're going to do is once you hit that window, it's going to say, are you talking about this credit right here? And we are going to check mark it, right? The $25 credit. And we're going to go ahead and click done. So now we applied the credit, and notice this. My bill was $300. Now that I received that credit of the $25, now all I'm going to be writing out this check out for is for $275, right? Because I'm only selecting that I'm only going to make a payment to Mr. Nellis. Okay. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and confirm that this bill is going to be paid, I believe, on the March 1st. And I'm going to make sure it's a check. And I'm going to assign the check number right now. Okay? It's going to, actually, I'll just leave it in the printer. Checking, make sure that's there. And I'm going to go ahead and click save and set scheduled payments. And once again, you're going to get this window. So do you want to pay more bills? You want to print the checks? Or you want to be done with this transaction? And I'm going to be done. Okay, so for any reason that a vendor decides to give you a discount credit for any things like such as a purchase returns, right? If you decided that you have damaged items, the vendor must be responsible to either give you a credit or they give you the option to either, hey, I'll give you your money back, right? Or if not, they'll give you a credit, right? They'll say, hey, we'll save the credit on for the next bill that you do, or vice versa. Okay, so that's how you apply the vendor credit. Any questions? Okay. All right. No. Okay. So there's one last thing that I'm going to talk about. So it's going to be utilizing credit cards. So, of course, we're going into the digital age. We've been using credit cards for the past 20 years now. So, or actually 50 plus years now. So, credit cards is, it's the most convenient form of payment. And it's definitely something that makes it easier to keep track of your transactions, right? You charge your credit card, it's going to appear on your statement. And your statement is going to be your proof of transaction right there. So, again, instead of using a check or using cash, right, where you have to do a little more labor for it, a credit card transaction is the most easiest form, and it's also the most easiest. You just carry the credit card around, and it's most widely accepted almost anywhere you go. So with that being said, we can make a lot of business expenses that we can pay with our credit cards. Now, how do we do that? Straightforward. Look on the home page under banking. You have an icon that says enter in credit card charges. Okay, that's one way you can enter it in. Second way you can enter it in, once again, go up to your banking menu and you'd be able to enter in the credit card transaction right there, credit card charges. Okay, so those are probably the only two ways that you can do it, right? Of course, any place that you are making a payment to your bill, you can also click on the option to enter in a credit card transaction. So again, but the main ones that you want to make sure that you're looking for is that you're using it through the banking section in your homepage or the banking section in your menu bar. If you are ending up doing a bill payment using the credit card and you're using it in the vendors, most likely this is the best way to do it. Okay. So once again, if I enter in a credit card charge, right, you're gonna get a window that looks similar, if not identical, to a write a checks window. So here's the thing that you're going to start noticing, okay? You're going to start noticing that every single form that you're starting to place in are starting to look similar. So like I've mentioned before, right? QuickBooks is trying to make it easier for you to enter in your information. And if they make everything look similar or a form that's easy to fill out, then any transaction that you do, it's going to be the same exact window, except you just need to make sure that you're checking off the correct options here. So in this case, my credit card charge right here, you need to make sure which account you're going to be looking at. And in this case, I only have one credit card and one credit card only. As a business, you can have multiple credit cards, right? As long as it has your company name on it, right? You can't use personal credit cards on here. So once again, here, we're taking a look that, hey, I have my National Bank Visa Gold credit card, all right? And of course, things that you want to make sure you want to see is, are you making a purchase charge or are you making a refund charge? In this case, I didn't even make a purchase in the first place, so that's what I'm going to do first is make an actual charge here. So again, now it's going to ask you, well, which vendor did you make a payment to? So once again, we're going to take a look at our Bay office supplies. Once again, we purchased more office supplies. So there they are, Bay office supplies. And the date is going to be, when did I make a payment or purchase the items? 2/24, okay, thank you. So therefore, I gotta go to the 24th. Okay. Now again, reference number, you shouldn't. It's going to be whatever the invoice number is or the sales receipt. So whatever.
65432.
Yes, that's the one I was mistaken for the other one. So that's okay. You can always have the same billing information or billing reference number because, that's going to be depending on whatever the company is. So once again, you don't need to fill out the amount because as you add in all the items or the accounts that you're listing here, it will automatically total it up for you. So in this case, I'm going to make a charge for buying office supplies. Once again, office supplies. Okay, and I'm going to make that payment, I believe it was $86.48. Okay, memo here, purchase office supplies. Pretty straightforward. Okay. And then, of course, now it's going to tell me Bay office supplies, reference number, amount, and we bought these office supplies for the San Jose location. So we bought the supplies for this particular store. Okay. Once everything looks good, we can go ahead and save and close. Boom. Once you get that beep of approval, your credit card has been charged. Now, of course, this is, of course, if you're going out to the store and you're charging your credit card, right? It's going to automatically do that on your credit card. But for QuickBooks, you definitely want to keep track of it. So that is exactly why bringing home the receipts and entering in the data is just so then you can update your books at the same time. Or when you get home, you update your books so then you have the most up-to-date information. Because once again, this is also in another sense of the double entry, right? Yeah, just because you charged it at the store, right? Your books are did not recognize that because the books is not attached to your credit card. You have to manually enter it in for every credit card transaction so then you can keep track of your credit card, right? You can wait till the statement comes out and then you just, revert everything back, but that's not really good accounting. That's very bad accounting. So any transaction that you do during the day or whatever it is, whenever you get the chance to do it, update your QuickBooks as soon as the transaction has happened because once again, especially for your checking account, you don't want to charge your debit card on a shopping spree and just buy a whole bunch of furniture and stuff, right? And not update your QuickBooks because your QuickBooks not going to know that you took your debit card and you bought a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, it's only gonna recognize whatever you enter in the books. Okay, so now that I've entered in my credit card transaction, right? How do I go ahead and see it? Any guesses? How do I go ahead and view my credit card activity?
Can you do it by the chart of accounts?
Chart of accounts. Excellent. Yes. If you go to your chart of accounts and we locate our National Visa Bank credit card, right? And you could double click it, right? Boom. Yes. The transaction right here for Bay Office Supplies is right here. So excellent. That's one way that you can actually take a look at it. Good. The second one is going to go to Be Banking. Okay. So we're going to go to Banking. And we're actually going to go to Use Register. And once again, I didn't even verify what register I wanted to look at. So let me close out my window, go to Banking, Use Registers. And now it's going to give you a drop-down menu. This one, once again, allows you to look at any account that has a register, which is your permanent account. So anything that's an asset, anything that's a liability, and anything that's an equity account, right? Those are all going to be under using the register. And you can go ahead and locate your Visa credit card, which is right here, Visa. Oh, I missed it. National Bank Visa credit card, right? And then we click OK. Boom. There you get to see your transaction, and you can even double click on them to actually display the transaction itself. So yes, excellent. Okay, yes. So there you go. And look, my account balance here is at now I owe $86.48. Okay. So that's actually how you make a credit card transaction. Now the next portion that it talks about is how do you actually pay off your credit card. Okay, you have two options. Okay, and the book actually recommends you to use option number 2. Option number 1, right? What we always know is at the end of the month, right, you're always going to receive a bill or your statement for your credit card charges. So right there, you can have the choice to enter in the bill for the credit card, right? You just put the National Bank Visa credit card, whatever it is, right? And then you do your bill payment there. However, with that being said, if you're going to be entering in a bill, right, you want to be careful about the amount that you want to pay. So when you receive your bill from the credit card company, right, you usually have a minimum payment, and then you can choose to either pay the minimum payment or choose to pay off the credit card, whatever amount that you want to pay off, or you pay off the whole thing. You have options there. When you enter in a bill, you have to be specific on the amount that you're going to make a payment for. All right, so that's a downside if you enter it in your credit card statement bill in, because once again, when you enter it in, it creates an accounts payable. And when it creates accounts payable, your goal is to pay off the accounts payable, not just make half payments here and there. So that's the downside about that, is that you have to know exactly how much you're going to make a payment to your credit card for. Now, can you predict that? You can if you just decide to just pay the minimum. Yeah, I'll just pay the minimum every single month. But again, if you're using your credit card frequently, you know that minimum payment's barely going to make a dent in your actual credit card payment. So again, and you can't predict, right? Maybe this month you can afford to make $100 payment. Maybe next month you can only afford to do $50, right? So again, that's why they recommend you to utilize the write a checks option, because this one, the day that the credit card bill is due, you can just write it for whatever amount that you'd like. So they do recommend you to just utilize the write a checks window. So once again, make sure it's coming from your checking account. Again, I'm going to make this to be printed later, so I assign the number later. And I believe this one is going to also be in March 1st. Okay? And we're going to make the credit card payment later. So once again, the vendor here is going to be National Bank, right? That's the place that is allowing me to have their credit card. And once again, so this one's going to be different. How we actually pay it off is going to be that instead of having the actual account in there, we're going to associate this with the National Bank Visa Gold credit card. All right, we're actually going to write it in like that. And the amount is for the $86.48, because we're making a payment to it. Okay? And once again, you don't need to make any associations to the class, because it's a general payment to the overall business credit card. You could use that credit card for, once again, paying for any expenses, whether it's for the store, or you could do it for admin. Okay? So in this case, that looks all good. And once again, my number appeared up here. And I'm going to go ahead and say monthly payment to credit card bill. Okay, whatever it is. And I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Close. And then now you're going to get this error message that says, hey, I hope you know when you're assigning this, there is no class. And of course, because like I've mentioned before, right, you're just paying off your bill. You're paying off your credit card. You don't need to assign this to anybody. So we're going to go ahead and click Save anyways. So then now that I made that payment, right, let's go ahead and see what happens when I actually take a look at my Visa credit card account. Okay, so I'm going to go find my Visa Gold credit card. And notice this. I'm going to click OK. Because I made that credit card payment, now my account is now back down to 0. All right, so that's the best way that you want to pay your credit cards off is that you just want to go ahead and just directly use the write a checks window. You don't want to use the enter bills, because once again, when you enter in a bill, you need to know the exact amount that you're going to make a payment to the credit card. So if you can't decide right then and there, then you may have to wait till then to write your check there. Now, of course, you can, like we've mentioned before, you can adjust your bill payments at any given time. So in that case, if it works best for you, you want to keep track of your bill payments that way, then, you know, if you want the day that you receive the bill and you need to make that a payment as something that you need to make sure that you pay your bills for, then definitely enter it in as a bill. Okay? Any questions there? Okay. All right, last but not least, I'm going to introduce this one tiny last concept, which is, it will, let's just go into it. So the last thing that the book is going to talk to you is about is going to be reports. Now, depending on what position you are in your company, will be the reason why you're going to be using reports. Now, all of these reports that you see here, right, is for everything, every single transaction that exists in QuickBooks. But here, if you're in the position, if you are, we just did vendors, right? So we're dealing with being the bill manager. Is a sales report going to be any use for you? Probably not. It probably a sales, but you're in charge of just making. You're just in charge of paying bills. No, because sales has nothing to do with the bills that you owe. Right? Anything that has to do with your employees, does that affect your bill payment? No. So the one thing that you need to know is that when you're building reports, the main reason why we build reports is to answer a specific question that you're looking for in QuickBooks. So let's say you are the accounts payable manager, right? You are meant to just pay bills. Then the entire section that you're going to be dealing with is going to be your vendors and your payables. Oops, sorry, I moved my mouse. Your vendors and your payables. Okay? This is the only thing that you're going to be useful to you if you are the accounts payable manager. Every other report you don't care about because it's irrelevant to you. So the whole purpose of a report is to answer a question that you're looking for in QuickBooks. So for example, right, I want to know how much my vendors owe me. Then run a vendor balance detail report. Okay? Or for example, how many items did I buy? What did I purchase? Then run your purchase order. Oh, well, in this case, you'd be under purchase orders. You'd be under inventory and items. But other than that, like anything that has to do with payables, right? Who do you owe? What's the overall payment? What are the bills that you haven't paid yet? Okay? Anything like that. So again, once again, the reports are going to be significant to you towards whatever position you are in the company. Now we're running a little bit out of time here, so I won't have time to show you any other report. But again, they're pretty straightforward. If you're going to run a balance on a vendor detail, you're basically going to show what kind of transactions you dealt with this vendor and how much they owe you. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. I'll just go ahead and show you that real quick. So vendor balance detail. See, it shows basically every single transaction that you have with the vendor, and it shows you what their account balance that you owe them. So in this case, I made a transaction with A Supply. I purchased, paid, purchased, paid, and boom, I owe them nothing. That's all that this shows you here. So basically, it gives you like a report that you can print out or send it to other people that can be useful, saying, hey, this is the bills that I owe, and this is how much I paid off so far. Okay, so again, the reports will dive into more in depth in chapter 6, at least the most important ones. But for this one, this is more geared towards the position that you are in within the company. Okay, so once again, you only use it to answer a question that you have for the company. Okay, so now that we have that, let's go ahead and dive right into the review questions. So let me go ahead and locate them real quick on my screen. Oh, come on. Oh, okay, went a little too far. All right, review questions. Okay, you guys ready for this? All right, let's answer question number 1. Okay, make sure that you select the best answer for each questions. So number 1, okay, you may record payments to your vendors by
All of the above.
all of the above is correct, right? A, right? By writing a manual check, right? We talked about that, right? And then also using the write a checks window. We talked about that. And we also talked about using the enter bills and using the bill payment. Yes, we talked about all 3 of these. So D is the correct answer. Number 2, okay? To display the vendor center. Okay? How do you display the vendor center? Basically, is what it's asking you.
See?
C. To select the vendor menu and then click vendor center. Okay? That's one of them.
But that's what I was getting ready to ask. Is that the only
D.
way? 'Cause
It would be
I thought
D.
It would be
it was
D. It is D, right? We talked about this too. These are the 3 main interfaces. So we talked about the vendors right here, the little tab on the home page, right? If you click on that, vendor center. You click on the home, what is this, the icon bar? You click on vendors, okay, it will take you directly to the vendor center. Oh, I'm in the employee, sorry. I hit the wrong one. Vendor center. Okay, and of course, if you go up to the vendors on the menu bar, it's the first thing that you should see is going to be vendor center. So yes, it is D, all of the above, or A, B, and C. Right. Number 3, okay, you can add a vendor.
D.
D, at any time. Yes, you do. It's funny how they say at the beginning of the year. No, only if they purchase a certain amount of money. No, okay. You can add them at any given time, whether you even create an account for them or whether you go to a random store. Right, you can create a vendor at any given time. All right, number 4. Okay, which statement is true?
A?
Okay, Elena says A. Anybody else?
Yeah, A.
Okay, Dan says A.
I say A.
Okay, perfect. A is the correct answer, right? QuickBooks records bill payments in the bank account register or a credit card account, okay? And uses the accounts payable register. Yes, yes, they use all 3 of them. Yes. Where B says that, okay, if the bill payment, okay, it increases the balance in both the checking and the accounts payable account. No, because if you're paying a bill, you're decreasing your checking account. So it doesn't increase both of them. C says that you should assign jobs to all accounts. To all discounts taken. No, you don't have to because it just depends on what that discount is for. And then you cannot make partial payments. Yes, you can. I didn't talk about that, but it was definitely something you had to read. Yes, you can make partial payments. Absolutely. If you couldn't pay the whole bill right then and there, that means you can break up the payments. You just end up owing your bill still going to reflect that you owe money. Okay. Lastly, question number 5. Okay, which QuickBooks features allows you to separate your income and your expenses by line of business, okay, department, location, profit centers, or any other means, meaningful, meaningful breakdown of your transactions. Okay, which one is that? B. Anybody else? Okay, for time's sake, that's correct. Okay. Remember, we'll see more. Job costing will be more relevant in chapter 2. So next week when we dive into chapter 2, which is going to be dealing with our customers, because job costing is you assign them to people. Okay, where class tracking you assign them to things, places, not people. Okay. Customer types, again, is basically separating your customers into specific people, right? It's just specific groups, right? Whether they're residential, commercial, whatever, right? And then again, vendor type, same thing. You're not separating your expenses or anything. You're just separating the groups of people that they kind of reside to. So C and D should be automatically eliminated. So the option is either A or B. Once again, A is you assign it to a person. Okay. So good job, everybody. So things that are due this weekend. Okay, you guys have to read chapter 2 because on Monday